Monday, September 2nd. A holiday in the United States, but in Europe, just another day of the war. London had another air raid alarm this morning after a 17-hour lull. But German planes raided many other English cities during the night. And British planes attacked Berlin and Munich, and Sardinia, Italy's big airplane base between Italy and Spain, and the Varese industrial district of northwest Italy. Now the news direct from Europe, Berlin, London, and Rome. First, a report from the German capital by Edwin Hartridge.
Morning. There is news that the German Air Force is continuing its attacks against England. The official agency reports that in the early hours of this morning, German bombers took off from military targets in southeast England. There have been fierce air battles reported between the British planes and the raiders, but at this moment, no further details are available in Berlin to the aerial battlefield. Also, we have no information at this end whether London is one of the objectives of today's operations. News about the air raids seem to be the dominant theme both in conversations and in the press. And along this line, I might report that the blackouts seem to be getting blacker this last week. Whether this is due to a change in the weather or what, I don't know. However, the police have created special patrols which spend their time at night checking on all quarters of the city for violations of the blackout regulations. And the punishment for each offense is something unique. Every time a household or an individual is found guilty, the electricity is shut off for a period of 8 days. This seems to be a very practical punishment for demonstrating that a blackout should be just that. Dr. Goebbels made a speech at Katowice yesterday evening, marking the first anniversary of the Polish campaign. His main point was to assure his listeners that the long talk about planning offensive against England would start, and I quote, at the decisive hour to be determined by the Fuhrer. Dr. Goebbels then went on to say that German people were more united than ever before, that they had the best and most gallant army in the field, which piled up one victory after another, and that Germany was now immune against the British blockade and against starvation. The propaganda minister added that Germany was also immune against the poison of British lies. He said that, quote, everywhere in the world, the clear, most objective and true reports of German news have proved to be successful against British lies. England is alone. England cherishes the vain hope that it can conceal itself by hiding in the autumn mist. The Fuhrer will attack when the right hour has come. End of quote. The magazine Neues Volk, published by the racial political office of the National Socialist Party, lays down some principles so that the German or Nordic Aryan race may be kept pure. German people are advised that the birth rate must increase, so that in another 20 years, Germany will not have to call on foreign labor. Secondly, labor must be recruited only from Germanic people, so that the elements of the East will be eliminated. And thirdly, as long as Germany must be, quote, obliged to have to the people of other races, especially the Slavs, every German man and woman has the duty to avoid association with them. The same principles must be applied to the foreigners of other races. This is Edwin Hartridge, returning now to Columbia in New York.
This is London. London was just going back to work this morning when the air raid sirens went off again, around 8 o'clock. This alarm lasted something less than an hour. When it was over, news messages reported that a formation of bombers had tried to reach London from the southeast, but were broken up. They ran into a heavy anti-aircraft barrage, and 3 were reported knocked down. British fighters then attacked the main formation of Germans and destroyed 2 more. Where the bombs were dropped, we don't yet know. That was the 20th air raid alarm London has had since a week ago yesterday. They have lasted a total of 33 hours. At that rate, if one dutifully stayed in his shelter, he would lose more than 1 day a week just taking cover. Among this morning's raiders were 2 very large 4-engine German planes. The first of these new planes were sighted yesterday. We have no details of last night's RAF raid on Berlin except a brief agency message. It was the 6th raid over the German capital in 8 days. There were alarms in Switzerland and planes were reported traveling south. And the Italian communique that's just come to London says British bombers are over northern Italy again. Out on the Isle of Man in the Irish Sea, hundreds of German nationals are interned in camps. They have now had their first air raid alarm. A German bomber approached the island, and the prisoners went to cover, but a Spitfire is believed to have shot down the raider. Prime Minister Churchill believes Britain is winning the war in the air. He said so in a message of congratulations sent to the bomber squadrons of the RAF. He said, I quote, "Command of the air is being gradually and painfully, but nonetheless remorselessly, wrested from the Nazi criminals who hope by this means to terrorize and dominate European civilization," unquote. He compared British bombing crews who bring back their bombs from Berlin when they can't see their targets with what he called the wanton cruelty of German flyers. They, he said, have wrecked nearly 1,000 homes and shops in the resort town of Ramsgate. Another British town received heavy damage in one of yesterday's raids. This was a town in the Thames estuary. 30 to 40 heavy bombs are reported to have fallen right across the heart of the city. The planes apparently were after the docks, but they dropped their loads before they could reach them because of fighter interception.